today to have with us a very special guest. Mr. Ruben Stjaer was born on February 28, 1926 in Poland. When Germany invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939, Mr. Stjaer's life would forever be changed. Over the next several years, he was forced into the Jewish ghetto, labor camps, concentration camps, until he was finally liberated on April 15, 1945. For many years, he shared his experiences with all who would listen. And he's here today to share his experiences with us so that we may all work to ensure that this type of tragedy never occurs again. It is my distinguished honor to give you Mr. Ruben Stjaer.
Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me back there? Yeah, okay? All right. The best way for evil to flourish is for good people to say nothing. During the 1930s and 1940s, the world stood idly by and allowed Hitler to flourish. That's why we had a Holocaust. The Holocaust is something that cannot, should not, and must not be compared. No one here or anywhere else can imagine what went on there. I know I was with him. I watched them die. I buried many of them. I watched them suffer, and they died not in peace, but in pain. We know that 6 million Jews were slaughtered, not just killed. It's beyond anyone's imagination, and I'm not going to even describe it. They're too graphic or too personal. But what of 6 million? You probably studied here in school about 9/11, where 3,000 people were killed in one day. During the Holocaust, for 5.5 years, it averaged 3,000 people, men, women, and children. 3,000 people every single day. On September the 1st, 1939, the war began. I was 13 years old. My childhood ended. My teenage years disappeared. I don't know what it's like being a teenager. I had to grow up and become a man. My parents said there's a war going on, we must leave our homes. And we took a few of the things that we could carry because we did not have any mode of transportation. And we marched all day. It was a Friday in Jewish religion. Friday at sunset, the Sabbath begins, you're not supposed to do anything. We stopped on the field, we had a little food, we had said our prayers, and we slept out all night on the field. The next morning we were ready to continue, and the Germans called after us. They told us we're liberated, we're free, we can go home. I had never seen a foreign soldier, I believed it. Before we reached our town, Saturday we marched towards our home. Before we reached our town, everyone was stopped, Jews and Christians alike. They immediately separated the Jews from the Christians. While the Christians were allowed to go home, we were detained until Sunday afternoon. Then we too were told we could go home. Outside of the village, the road divided. Those that went to the right, which my family were among them, came home safely. Those that went to the left, 272 people, men, women, and children were killed. Their crime they committed, they were born of the Jewish faith. Monday morning, the Holocaust really began. We were told to come to a synagogue. We had one synagogue in town. It was a small town. They made us carry out the prayer books and the scrolls which the Old Testament is written in. They poured gasoline and they burned them. I assume they did it to scare us, to frighten us, to dehumanize us. We were also told that from now on we had to come to the town square every single morning and read the new laws, specifically designed for Jews. Not what we can do, but what we cannot do. For example, if I walked on the sidewalk and a gentleman approached me, I had to go to the gutters. I wasn't worried walking on the same dirt as they did, and so many other things. I do not have specific dates, but I do remember the seasons. Spring of 1940, we were taught to leave our homes and move into an area called the ghetto. I'm sure you heard the word ghetto being used a lot here. In this country where you have a certain ethnic group, color, religion, nationality, living in one area, it's called the ghetto. But you can move in, move out, you can stay there, you are free to do whatever you want. Not the ghetto that I'm going to describe to you. They chose the biggest slum area that they could find, and there were many of them, and made all the Jewish people move in that area. They assigned each family so-called apartments, living quarters. I come a family of 8. They gave us one room, probably no bigger than the room you have at home. How do you live 8 people in one room? Because we didn't have any mode of transportation, we took a few of the things that we could carry. I can see on the first poster on my right. Took a little bedding, little clothes, patch of pants, the bare necessities that we could carry, and moved in that one-room apartment. In that room we had one bed. My mother and my younger sister slept in one bed, and the rest had the bed up over a stable. Summertime, the nights are not hot and humid as they are here, it's bearable. But in the winter, it is very, very cold, usually below freezing. Because we didn't have enough bedding, we wore our clothes 24 hours a day, just to keep warm. But that was not a big problem where we were going to sleep. There were many more bigger problems than that. In a slum area as it is here, there are no factories, there are no businesses. That means no jobs. There are no jobs. How are we going to earn a little money to be able to cash in the coupons that they gave us? I had, as I said before, I had to grow up, had to become a man. My older brother, my younger brother and I, we became the so-called breadwinners. Sometimes we smuggled out of the ghetto, crawled on our arms and legs and our bellies not to be seen, to a field where the farmer planted some food. We dug up with our hands and took it home. On the way home, I was hoping to pass a fruit tree, find a stone or a branch, throw up and knock down 1 or 2 fruits and bring that home. Once we brought it home, my mother had to ration it. Because it was raining, the weather was bad. We could not crawl our bellies down and legs, when nothing was coming in. But that's in the summertime. What about the 3 other seasons, fall, winter, and spring, when nothing is growing? We could not take a vacation. We had to find a way how to get that from food into the house. In Poland, as probably in other countries, anti-Semitism was very high. They didn't like the Jews. The Christians did not like the Jews. We knew, I lived there since I was a little boy. I remember it must have been about 2, 3 years, where someone threw a rock through the window and passed away. Every Jewish home had shutters, make sure that they wouldn't break the windows. When I went to school, I did not sit with everybody else. I had to sit in the back because I was Jewish. We did not have any indoor plumbing. We had outhouses. Our playgrounds were not paved like they are here. They were made out of sand and stones. Kids used to sit outside if I would leave the classroom, if I had to go to use those facilities. They would throw sand or stones at us. Meant I had to sit, wait until school was over. And there were so many other things. The other 3 seasons we had to take chances. What we did, we smuggled out together at night to the Christian communities, knocked on doors hoping that they are going to be nice enough and open it. tried to sell anything we had of value to get a little money so we could cash in the coupons. But we had to make a quick transaction. Once we sold it, made a deal, we ran away not to give my chance to call the Nazis and tell them there are Jews here. But even there was a problem. Snow starts coming down around November, it does not leave until sometimes in March. And if you walk in snow, you leave footprints. Our roads were not plowed or sidewalks, they were covered with dirt, covered with snow. We would leave footprints. We literally prayed for a blizzard. The snow would come down, the wind would blow and cover up the footprints. The purpose of the ghetto was to have all Jews concentrated in one small area, as you can see it on the next poster. When they were ready to take us away for extermination, and that was their only goal, is to kill off 11 million European Jews. Those were Hitler's plans. They had us all in one corner. It's like having fish in a pond. All you do is throw in the fish, the rod, fishing rod, and put them out. They had a list of every man, woman, and child. They everything they wanted to know. They knew about us. It was April the 12th, 1942. A date I will never forget. The worst day in my life. We heard there was going to be a roundup. They're going to come and take away able-bodied men and women, boys and girls. I was 16, probably your age. My parents felt when they come they're not going to take me because I'm a child. Little did they know then what was about to happen. My father, older brother, and older sister went to hiding. My parents felt that I can stay home, I'm a child, they're going to come, they're not going to take me. So I stayed at home. In the middle of the night, we heard a truck pulling up. The Germans were very loud, those trucks and boots. My mother immediately went to the door knowing that she doesn't open it up. When they come there, they're going to break it. And there was no way we could replace it. There were no Home Depots. As soon as she get there was a knock on the door. She opened it up and they came in like a tank. They knocked it down and they yelled out the names of my father and older brother. My mother picked herself up and they yelled out the names of my father and older brother. Where are they? My mother said, I don't know. I'm pretty sure she did not know. She's not here to tell me. They kept on screaming, repeating the same question, and they got the same answer. They looked at me and told me to stand up. I stood up and they came over and grabbed me by my arm and started putting me away. My mother, as your mother's, grabbed me by the other arm. Can you imagine your mother holding you and someone pulls you out, how they would have felt? I do not remember what the Germans looked like, but I will never forget the expression, the tears of my mother and the three younger siblings, my younger brother and two younger sisters. I was taken away from them and never to see any one of them. The worst part, not even knowing where they're buried, if they are buried or somewhere. So I could go there to the grave and stay there today and tell them how much I miss him, how I wish they're here, pretending they can hear me. I was taken away, but I'll never forget the expression of my mother's. I was taken to a camp. When I got there, they took several things from me. They took my family, they took my freedom. We had to get undressed, leave everything behind us, stay there naked. They even took my name. They gave me a number that lasted for 3 years, 25,685. And they gave us a new outfit. You've probably seen those striped uniforms to be identified as the Jews. And they gave us a blanket to serve as a sheet and a cover. They gave us a burlap bag to fit up with straw that became our mattress, a pair of shoes with no socks, and they assigned us to a barrack. And when I speak of a barrack, I'm not speaking the kind of barracks that we know them here. Made out of cinder blocks, has windows and doors, all the amenities that we find in those barracks. These were barracks made out of wooden boards. If you ever go or have been at the museum, you've seen some pictures of them. They had a door on one end, a window on the other end. It had bunk beds, had two round tables, and had benches on each side, and two buckets that we used at night. After dark, there was curfew, we were not to go out. And then we had, at night, two men, one at the door and one at the window, sitting there. We took turns for 2 hours to make sure no one leaves. They used to sneak up on us. If they caught anyone sleeping, they would punish him. And explain it later. I filled up the straw and I put it up on my bunk, and I climbed up and I put my face into that straw. And I lie there all night, crying, probably as each one of us here would do. What will happen to me? Will I ever get out of here? Will I ever see the family? And all the normal things that we would think about. But the next morning, the Germans made sure that I didn't have time to cry. It became a routine for quite a while. They woke us up at 6 o'clock. 6:30, they gave us our ration for the day. They had to last the whole day. A cup of substitute coffee. No bread, no cereal, no nothing. 7 o'clock, we had to be ready, lined up in the rows of 5 to be counted. And we marched, we marched to work. Kind of work we did, we literally moved mountains into valleys. We leveled the ground so they could build ammunition factories. We were not allowed to build them. I assume for sabotage or whatever they had in mind. We thought if we lose that shovel, we'd have to dig dirt with our hands, so that became part of me. We worked from 8 till 12 non-stop, no matter what the weather was, rain or shine, snow or sleet. We went to work. There were no sick days or snow days or any kind of days, so we worked days. From 12 to 12:30, we had the so-called rest period. The weather was nice and wasn't cold, I would just lie down in the dirt, stretch out my arms, put my head on it, just lie there and rest, or take a quick nap. We had to conserve every bit of energy we could. And we worked from 12:30 to 6. 6 o'clock we were counted and marched back to camp for a whole hour. Can you imagine we had to be outside on a hot summer day, temperatures 90, 95, 100 degrees, sun beating down on you, whatever you would be doing. We had to work, and you don't have a drop of water. On the winter time, your parents wouldn't allow you to leave home without the things that we did not have. We did not have any heavy coats, sweaters, gloves, scarves, hats, decent shoes. We're out there, snow, blizzard, freezing, rain, all the things, and don't even have a hot cup of coffee. We had no one to complain to. We got back at 7 o'clock to camp. In the middle of the camp, there was one barrack that housed about a dozen showers on one side, and holes, walls with holes cut out that we used for toilets. We had half an hour's time to use those facilities. The first few men that got in there had a little hot water, the rest of us had cold water. Summertime, any kind of weather was very refreshing. It's hot, We needed something to cool off. But what about in the winter time, if it's very cold, or in the spring or fall? Even if I had the opportunity to get a little hot water, I would not do it. Because the things that we take all so much for granted, myself included today, we did not have. We did not have a towel to dry ourselves off, toilet paper, tissues, toothpaste, all the things that we find in our bedrooms. What it meant, we walked around for weeks and months without putting a drop of wood in our body. And if you don't bathe, lice form and they're very infectious. Usually typhoid that had to kill us. What it also meant that after the war, it took me 7 months before I could see the original color of my skin. I had 3 years worth of dirt taken in from the camps and 2 years from the ghettos. Used to lie at night in the lobbies, just to knock dirt off. At 7:30 they gave us our ration for the day. You probably learned in school or your parents taught you what you should eat, the kind of food we must eat in order to stay healthy. Any one of us that survived on meager rations like we had, it's got to be, at least in my mind, the biggest miracle around. The whole time that I was in the camps, I never saw a piece of meat, a fruit, a vegetable, piece of all the things that we're told to eat. They gave us a small portion of dry bread and a cup of soup made out of rutabagas they would feed the cattle. That had to last 24 hours, not just sitting around and working. In 1943, we were transferred from one camp to the other. The difference was in the first camp we were guarded by the Wehrmacht, these were middle-aged men. They weren't so bad, they weren't great, but most of the time they left us alone. But then we were transferred from one camp to another. I was in 6 different ones. When we got there, we ran into a different kind of guards. If you've been to the museum, National Holocaust Museum, you've seen them on the 4th floor. You come up there, these were Hitler's elite, Hitler's SS. They also had the German Shepherd dogs. I cannot understand how any man could leave a home, a wife and children, and go out and kill or brutally torture men like themselves and being able to live with themselves. They were so cruel, it's beyond anyone's imagination. Again, they're too personal and too graphic, I'm not going to go into it. The punishments are also much more severe. Two most often used punishments, and you guys may try it. Take some of these chairs, and these are light chairs, pick them up by the front legs, because the rear legs has the back, has more weight, pulls you down. Crouch down on your toes, don't put your heels down and see how long you're going to last. If by accident I fell back and my heels touched the ground, they would turn over the same time and start all over again. And you guys are much stronger than we are. Beware. The next one that they use very often is specially designed to death like. They would lock our feet in and our neck and use the whip. Sometimes 25, sometimes 50, depending on the crime I committed. For example, if I walked by the car and I didn't turn my head, look at it, we take the number down, we have numbers shown on our chest, left chest, and then they would call me to receive my punishments. When we had to put our pens down, they literally cut through the flesh. When they were finished, all we could do was find a rag, usually a dead man's clothes, just take it off him, wipe ourselves off because we didn't have any water to clean ourselves out, but make sure that we got to work the next day. Anybody that couldn't go to work would be sent away, never to be seen or heard from again. In 1944, as the war was coming to an end, we were told we were going to evacuate. My camp was number 5. We had to learn how to help us survive with the things we didn't have. For example, I learned if you take paper, put it between your clothes, it keeps the wind out, therefore it keeps your body temperature in. I gave you a pair of wooden-soled shoes. Some of you girls might have worn wooden-soled shoes. If you walk in snow, and we walked in fields, dirt fields covered with snow, the snow sticks to it. If you don't kick it off, you can twist an ankle and break a leg. And they gave us a loaf of bread, a small loaf of bread, and we hit the road so called. As we marched in the wooden-soled shoes, they were hard enough to bend. And when the weak ones, when they kicked off the snow, they fell down. They would shoot him, and we had a truck following us, picking up bodies like a pickup trash on the highway. We marched all day. As it was getting dark, they told us we could stop and rest. The problem was we were out in an open field, over our heads in the sky, and under our feet the snow and dirt. I knew if I sit down, snow is going to melt, and there I am out in the winter time, cold, freezing. I did what I had to do in order to survive. After 3 days, they finally marched us over to a railroad track. Again, if you go to the National Holocaust Museum, you see one of those cars that pulled up. And you can see it, one over here on my right. They opened the gates, they gave us a loaf of bread, and they gave us a famous bucket for human waste, and pushed in about 100 or so. If you look at it now, the museum looks nice and neat and clean. But those of us that was in there will tell you it was hell on earth. It is hard to describe the conditions in it. There wasn't any room to sit down. If that had been the summertime, we probably would have suffocated for the lack of air. There was one time a little air seeped through. There wasn't any room to sit down. But after a few hours, as men were dying, we put them in the center of the car, like a pyramid, and a little room became available. But when I looked down at the floor, and I saw what it looked like, as dirty, filthy as I felt, I could not get myself to sit down. The bucket overran and it spread all over the floor. I could not get myself to sit down. I'm not going to tell you what I did. It is too graphic and I don't want anyone to go home and think about it. The best way I can describe the condition of that car after 3 days and 3 nights, out of 100 or so that what they pushed in, they finally opened up the gates, 10 of us walked out alive. Then taken by truck to a camp called Bergen-Belsen. Bergen-Belsen, unlike Auschwitz, Treblinka, and all this, did not have any gas chambers or any crematoriums. They did not need any. All they had to do is put us there, nature would take care of us. I thought when I get there, at least I'm going to get a little straw I can lie down and rest my body. Instead, they put us into an empty shell. The floors were wet. These shells were made out of wood, wooden board. What we did, we sat down between each other's legs to keep the wind out, and like a domino effect, we fell back and fell asleep. Next day, it became a routine for the remainder of my incarceration. They woke us up between 4 and 4:30, made us go outside no matter what the weather was, it was winter time. Snow, rain, sleet, whatever. You had to stay in line, wait for them to come around, count us between 2 and 2:30. They turned on the weather between 10 and 10:30, but we were not allowed to get out of line. I literally prayed for rain or snow. I would just put the palms of my hands out and try to catch a few drops of rain or a little bit of snow, anything to get a little fluid in my body. After they gave us our meal, what they did is they took the bread away, they gave us just a little bit of soup. That had to last 24 hours. Think of a cup of soup. It lasts 24 hours. After we finished our meal, so-called, we had a job to do. The camp was literally littered with dead bodies, as you can see it here. We walked over people. Our job was to remove it. What we did, we tied them on by their arms and legs. We tied on his bed instead of thousands of them, and dragged them in this mud and the snow on the ground, dragged them along, and threw them into a huge grave, as you can see the next poster. We would not stop until everyone was removed. They brought in transport every single day, both men and women. We were caged behind wires. One day a group of women would come again. I was just standing around, I didn't know what I was doing, I guess daydreaming. And someone yelled my name, Ruben. I turned around and I saw a familiar face I'd not seen for 3 years. It was my older sister. I could not go out to her, she could not come into me. All I knew now that she's in the camp, but I did not know if she's dead or if she's alive. These graves were near the women's section. Every time I saw that woman lying face down, I would turn her over, hoping that I won't recognize her. Fortunately, I did not recognize her because she did survive. Finally, the day of the so-called liberation came. When I was liberated, I was as close to dying as anyone could be. If you see that man all the way on the end, put my face on it, you could see me. I was bone, flesh and bone, skin, flesh and bone. I could not walk anymore. My right leg was swollen. I had some typhoid, I found out later, and that's a killer. But I saw some men going to a warehouse, and I figured there must be something that I might want. I could not walk, but I dragged myself over with the last bit of energy in my body. When I got there, I saw bread. I cannot describe to you what that bread looked like to me. The biggest lottery could have made me that happy. I pulled over 4 small loaves of bread. The man saw me having them. He took away 2 of them from me. And I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't even able to fight it back. And then I went and I put the other 2 in my coat, between the lining and other fabric, nice and old. And I went into a coma. The next few days, I did not know what happened. The way people found each other, they went through the living and the dead to see whether they recognized someone and notify loved one, a friend, a neighbor, anybody. A girl saw me and she went and she notified my sister. My sister does not talk about it, even today. She gives me here and there bits and pieces. But she came down to Baltimore and I went to visit, and I came down to Baltimore and we went to at a bar mitzvah. And I went to speak to a school. When I got there, after I finished, the first question was, what was it like after liberation? I turned to her and I said, Anna Gassi, I know you don't talk about it. I'm not asking you. I just tell him what happened. I don't know. You know, I wasn't there. I was dead, but I wasn't dead. And she agreed. A girl came and told her where I was. She brought her there, and when she got there, she found me naked. I think the reason she found me naked, I had done it before. If a dead man had his clothes were cleaner or fewer holes than mine, I went and I took it off him and I put it on me. And where he was going, it didn't have to be dressed again. Somebody must have thought I was dead. And he took my clothes off and let me lie there. And my sister not come there, they probably they picked me up, thought I was gone, and threw me in those graves. She went, she took off her underwear and put it on me to give me back a little some decency, some humanity. She did everything she could. She too was sick, but she was the stronger of the two. I truly feel, and she keeps on reminding me, and she is right, she gave life back to me. If she hadn't found me, I would not be standing here. The next 7 months I was a vegetable, I couldn't move. What the English did, and I was liberated by the English, they gave each one of us a can of bacon, a can of sweet condensed milk. There was putting gasoline and fire. Our stomachs were not used to that kind of food. We needed a couple of teaspoons of baby food and gradually feed nourish us along. I had diarrhea and I could not move. I was too weak to move. I was so skinny when you don't have skin. I mean, you don't have flesh. The skin comes off. I had no skin on my back. I had to lie on air pillows. For the next 7 months, I was a vegetable. It took me 3 years to finally get out of the woods. Holocaust teaches us an awful lot. When I see all of you here in every school, I keep on wondering every time, what did I miss? What's it really like being a teenager? And how lucky all of you are, having been born here and have the opportunity that I never had. You have the greatest opportunity anybody can have. Billions of people, young and old, wish they could be in your shoes. It's going to be up to you to become what you want to be. You have no idea. If you fail, you can only blame yourself, no one else. And I'm speaking with a lot of confidence in me because I know what I'm speaking of. I was there. I know what you have that I did not have. I'll give you a little idea. When I came to this country, I had nothing. I came with a friend of mine. We didn't have any money. We had no family. We had no education. We had nowhere to live. We had no trade, no job, you name it, we did not have. I'm in a new country, I didn't speak English. We have a new country, and we got to start all over again. The first thing, we made sure that we have a place to live in, to have a roof over our head, because we had no place to go. We found a room, we rented a room, had one bed, we slept in one bed for over a year, because that's all we could afford. We had to find a job. We knocked on doors, so-called doors, hit payments. Everywhere I went, I was turned down, I couldn't communicate. I went from one door to the other and I was turned around. After 4 weeks, I finally found somebody that was willing to give me a job. I could speak to him in Yiddish. Problem was, I was getting $37 from welfare, and he wanted to pay me $23.10 that they couldn't pay. I said to my social worker, why would I take that job when I'm getting more doing nothing? You get so used to living that kind of life. And she gave me some great advice. You got to start something, the sooner the better. I took that job. The first day I cleaned the bathroom and I swept the floor. It was up to me to be where I am today. I am happy to say to you, I've been married now for 63 years to the same woman. We have 3 children, they're all highly educated. We have 7 grandchildren, and they've finished college and everything. They're all working. And I live very comfortably in a home. In this country, it's going to be up to you to be what you want to be. The reason why I'm so confident, because I did it think what you can do, how much more you can do. You have family. You have family, you have a home. You have opportunity to go to school to learn. I didn't have that opportunity. I had to teach myself. I had to find the tools to be able to study, to learn. You're being taught, you're given the tools, and you're being taught how to do it. In this country, only in this country I know of, could I have done what I did. You have family at home, you have siblings, you have a home to go to, you have food. You got so much that I didn't even dream of having. And I know you can do it. I also am sure that you will do it. And the reason why I'm so confident, because I did it. Look what you can do with all the things, all the tools that you have. If you fail, you can only blame yourself and no one else. But we have something that's even much more than that. We have something here that's called freedom. Freedom is something that we must have been fought for us. Millions of men and women gave their lives so we can have that freedom. Freedom is something that we must protect as everything we've got. Because once we lose it, it's very, very hard to get it back. Thank you for listening.
He's going to come down and he'll take some questions if you have them. Yes.
Okay guys, we're going to start the question and answer portion. So if you guys have a question, please raise your hand. I'll come bring the mic to you, or you can come up here. Hi, what was the most jarring thing coming back after being imprisoned for you? Like,
When I was liberated for the next 3 years, all I was thinking about was getting well. I was a very sick boy. And I did what I had to do. I could not depend on anyone else. I had to do it myself. I had no one to do it for me. And you adjust life. You adjust in life from the day we were born until the day we die. And that's what I had to do. I had no family to help me. And I made mistakes, but I must have had more. I must have done more right things than wrong, because I'm here and I'm pretty well fixed.
thank you.
Don't come up front. Those that have questions don't come here. So we won't waste much time. If you have any questions, come on up front. Don't be bashful. That's it. Come on up front.
Hello. How has your relationship with your religion changed throughout your whole experience?
Relationship with whom?
With your religion? With Judaism?
Judaism? I was born a Jew. I lived like a Jew. and I'm going to die as a Jew. Because we all have to have some identity. And while I'm not religious now, I'm still very much Jewish and believe in it. Okay?
After all that you've been through, was there any time during your ordeal that you lost hope, that you just thought, this is it?
That is one thing I never did. I don't know what you mean by hope. Religion, or just hope to stay alive. I've seen people dying overnight because they gave up. If you ask me how did I survive, the best thing I can tell you is never to give up. It took luck and hope that I'm going to come out and I will see family. Unfortunately, only ones I saw was a brother and a sister. 3 of my siblings that you see at the end, 14, 12, and 10. I don't know where they are. I don't know how they died, where they're buried. My sister today sees them. She says she sees them. They're coming through the wall. A lot of times she cooks for them and throws out the food because they don't eat. I have to be fortunate enough. I don't have those nightmares. It's a life that we have to change and make the best we can. I have a family today. I have to live for them. I have to make sure that they are well, and when they have a pain, I feel the pain. But I got to be careful what I'm doing. I cannot bother them, not bother them, telling them all these horrible things. They know what happened to me. They've listened to me. But I don't tell them, you come with me. If they have to volunteer. And they've heard me many times. All my children and grandchildren wrote a lot of papers in school. Whenever they read the paper, I was the one that they wrote about. And I did the best I could. I must have done something right because, like I said, I did very well. Thank you. Thank you.
I also have another question. Through it, what did you do or think to make you go through it? What was something that you did to keep your spirits up?
I learned at an early age that I cannot go down and live in the past. I never want to forget the past. I'm always going to remember it. But if I live in the past, I would be a very miserable person. I can't afford it because of my family and because of the people around me. I must go on with life. If I go down and be miserable, Hitler would have defeated me psychologically, not physically. He would have won the war, he would have killed me. And I cannot allow that to happen. And I wish that all the survivors would do the same thing. My sister and my brother live in the past, and they are not very happy. They're not very happy. And you just have to adjust to life. Life changes, and we have to adjust to it.
Thank you.
What city in Poland are you from?
What?
What city in Poland are you from?
Are you Polish?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Poland?
What?
Are you familiar with Poland?
Yes.
Częstochowa? No?
No.
You speak Polish?
Not a lot, but
That's my
my grandfather was from there too.
What?
My great-grandfather was from there too, and wanted to see if it was a familiar city.
Dziękuję.
How did you find your older sister after you were liberated?
I didn't find her, somebody found her. I mentioned before, people looked through the living and the dead, and they found my older sister. And then, from word to mouth, we found our brother. And waited all these years, 70 years since I was liberated, and we haven't found them by now. They're not alive.
I'm sorry.
And like everyone else, you have to get used to it, if there's such a thing. And life goes on. I went yesterday, we had the birthday party for me, and we have a great grand over there. She's 1 year old. For the first time, my mother told her to give me a kiss, and she gave me two. And that's how you adjust. And those things happen, make up, and I live with them.
Thank you so much.
What were your thoughts when you first arrived in America?
My thoughts coming to America, you should all be grateful for your ancestors, what they did for you, that they came here, that you could be born here. And I came here, it was so hard, I said, is this what I came through? I was told when you're in America, when it rains, money comes down. I literally looked for money, but all it was dropped the rain. And it was very, very hard. I went to sleep many nights. I went to sleep hungry. And I'm sorry to say, no one cared. But I can understand it now. I didn't know then. I felt that the world owes me something to do good for me, what they did bad. And nobody cared. But I made it. And of course, to show you that somebody coming here, not having anything, not speaking English, no education, no job, no nothing, can make it here. All you have to do, put an effort in and don't ever give up. Again, we have something to compare with. Compare yourself. See what you can do. That I did it. If I could do it, you certainly can do it. Okay? Move forward.
Hi. So through your experiences, you've been through hell and back, and a lot of people nowadays, when they get like laid off of a job and stuff, they always think it's the end of the world, and some people take their own lives. What advice would you have to them for someone who thinks it's the end?
That's what. Get off that chair and put your body into it. You can do it, you can get a job. The problem is, in my opinion, welfare is a killer. It's not a contribution or a helping for people that are on welfare. You get so used to it and you stay on welfare because the politicians want you to be on welfare because you vote for them. You want to get that check. I did not. That social worker gave me the right advice. You got to start sometimes, the sooner the better. I started sweeping that floor and came in the bedroom. But I didn't do it for long. I kept on growing, making more money and making a life. My wife was a stay-at-home mom, and we didn't make much money at all, but that was our decision, and we made the right decision. Had to go again and do it. Here you can do it, you just have to put your shoulder in and go to work. Show your boss that you care about the company, and you should care because I was never owned a business, I always was employed. The more money he made, the more merchandise he bought, the more I had to sell, the more money I made. It has a ripple effect. You say, well, I don't care about my business. But if you don't care, you're not going to expect to grow. You're going to stay where you are. You got to care because you make sure that the boss keeps that business, you can keep the job.
In America, well, when you were giving your presentation, you said that a lot of people take things for granted, like hot water and stuff like that. What is one of the things that you think that nowadays we all take for granted?
What do you think people in the United States take for granted?
We take for granted, we think it's coming. We have it right now, politics, And they say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, I'm going to give you this here, I'm going to give you that there. Stop to think, can they do it? Can they give you more money? Can they give you a job? Can they give you whatever? You got to go out and work for it, earn it, and you feel good about it that you did it. I feel great that I came here with nothing and I made what I had. I accomplished what I did. It's a great feeling. And if I could do it, so can you and everybody that's around here.
Thank you.
Okay?
Hi. So I'm in a class called AP Human Geography with Mr. Miller, who's right there. And so recently we had a unit about terrorism and major world tragedies like 9/11 and the Holocaust. And we learned about basically how people either run towards religion or they run away from religion. So which one do you think you're more associated with?
Religion is a very personal thing. It's not what I'm going to tell you. I was very religious until about 30, 40 years ago. Don't go by what I'm going to tell you. There's one thing I'm just telling you how I feel, not how you should feel. You go on and believe in what you do. Religion helps you, gives you hope, even though it doesn't very certainly materializes, but it gives you some hope, something to look forward to. And I gave it up because I keep on asking myself, how could we allow these things to happen? All these children supposed to be. And, but that's again, very personal for me. It should be very personal for you. You stay with what you believe in. And I will stay with what I believe in.
Thank you.
Hello,
How can I get you to smile? How can I get you to smile? You must have a great attitude.
Hello, my name is Sean Amashek, and I'm also a AP Human Geography student. We also study about immigration. What's the reason why I know a lot of Holocaust survivors after their liberation chose to perform the Aliyah, immigrating to Israel, to the British Palestinian Mandate, and then after 1948, the creation of the state of Israel, they immigrate to Israel. What's the reason why you chose to immigrate to the United States instead of performing the Aliyah? Wait, sorry.
When it comes to immigration,
Yeah, what's the reason why you chose to immigrate to the United States over?
I am an immigrant, as you know. I came here legally. I wouldn't mind seeing people coming here, allowing everyone to come here to better their life. We live in a world today that we don't know who's our friend and who's our foe. To allow people coming in, we have here right now, all these terrorists are here right now. We don't know who they are. Would you want to have somebody living next to you? I'm sure you wouldn't. We don't know who they are. First thing we have to do is protect our own, like our family. And then to protect the others. I think we should not allow people just to come here because they...
No,
When you said
Yes.
why did you?
Okay.
I'm sorry if my question was, I'm sorry you misunderstood my question. What's the reason why you chose to immigrate to the United States instead of immigrating to Israel? The British Palestinian Mandate before 1948.
Israel is the home to Jews.
Yes.
It says on the Bible, and it's always been taught that way. We wanted to go to Israel. I wanted to go to Israel. I signed up, but they wouldn't let me in. The English could stop us. Then when Israel became a state, all the Arabs, 4 million Jews were surrounded by 200 million Arabs.
Yes.
They wanted to kill him. They wanted to chase him out. They wanted to take over. Nobody cared about where we lived. So the only place I could go at least I was hoping to go, is the United States. They finally allowed 205,000 displaced persons to come to the United States, and I came under that quota.
Okay.
Keep in mind that during the Second World War, Roosevelt sent away a ship with about 1,000 people that went back to Germany.
Like the St. Louis.
What?
The St. Louis.
St. Louis, yes. Sent back, and most of them were killed and no one cared. Today, or yesterday, Iran sent missiles, which in Hebrew written, Israel must be wiped off the face of the earth. We don't have anywhere to go except Israel will save. The United States, we are safe right now.
Yes.
But I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. There's another anti-Semitism here too. We know that. So Israel, we feel very comfortable. Had Israel been open during the Second World War, I would not have gone there, we didn't have the money. But at least a few 100,000 would have been alive today, or at least buried there. The war didn't want to. Didn't care about us. And if you read the paper, like I do, I read the Wall Street Journal, and you see a lot of it that's going on today. There's a lot of hate.
A lot of anti-Semitism right now.
How many people say the Holocaust never happened? How can you say that to me? I've been there. I've seen it. I lived it. Yet in their hearts they believe that it never happened. Iran came and says it never happened. A lot of other countries say that. And that's why we are going so for Israel. That's home away from home.
I understand. I saw that obviously my question was kind of long, and yeah, and I saw that you misunderstood my original question.
Hi, have you ever gone back to Poland and visited where you grew up?
Yes, I have gone back. Very few survivors do go back because they remember the horror. I was in a camp, and in Germany there was a custom for the families to take a walk on weekends. And families walked by and they looked in at us. We were behind bars. And I said, someday I'm coming out of here and I'm going to walk on the same road and look in as they do. My wife was born in this country. After 50 years, we finally decided to go back. When I got there, I came to the camp and my wife says, are you going to go out and look in? I said, no. She said, why not? I said, I'm free. I don't have to go outside look in. I can be inside, look out. I'll go out and look in. I'm free. You don't know what freedom means because you've never lost it. And that is, I'm glad I did go back. Because now I remember what happened then and what it's like now. And I feel good about it. That really cope with life easier than it was before. I did some other things. I went to Auschwitz, everybody had, or somebody did, even though I don't know who. And I went back to some other camps just to visit. I've been there back twice. I'm glad I did. My brothers and sisters were not good.
I'm just going to make a real quick announcement because the bell's going to ring in a couple minutes. If you still have questions after the bell rings, feel free to come up and we can still answer those questions. But when the bell rings, if you don't have any questions, you're free to.
And the best part of it is the church.
I just had a quick question. Did you ever meet Hitler like face to face? Did you ever meet Hitler face to face? My question was, if you were going, like, what would you say or feel if you ever met the German soldiers that were in charge of you? Like now, if you ever met them.
The only thing I could do is spit in his face and walk away.
So, some presidential candidates nowadays are giving this rhetoric that's very like
anti-Muslim and anti-immigrant and tends to be pretty racist. So people have started drawing comparisons between them and Hitler. So do you think that's comparable or is it too extreme?
I don't say anti-Muslim, anti-whatever, anti-terrorist. Not everybody, every Muslim is a terrorist. Not every German was a Nazi.